place to be is living free in Tennessee.
Welcome to Living Free in Tennessee, where we talk about building the life you choose on your terms. Today is Monday, January 6th, 2025. That's right. I'm getting the year right on my first episode of this year, which is something new for Living Free in Tennessee. This is episode 988 of Living Free in Tennessee. And I'm going to be joined today for an interview show with Andy McCann of CrossFit Garage. We're going to talk about his journey into carnivore and some other things, including how community has been important to success and how you can tap into community to get your own success. We're going to talk about taking control of your health because that's what people are thinking about at this time of year. I'm also going to cover a couple of segments, though, before I bring Andy on. Before I do that, though, I want to remind you, we do have a pretty active community over on the Telegram group. That's t.me/LFTN group. Since MeWe melted down, that's where most of the action has been in the Living Free in Tennessee community if you want to connect with your peers on social. I also want to thank two sponsors today. The first sponsor is EMP Shield. EMP Shield makes a device that protects your whole house from unfortunate surges in electricity, like when a tree falls on the power line and it snaps and two ends touch each other that shouldn't, and that just goes through your lines and potentially fries your electronics. If you have an EMP Shield device installed on your home, then it takes the brunt of the problem, saving you lots of headache. And if it fails, guess what? There's a $25,000 replacement insurance program. Find out more at empshield.com. If you use the coupon code LFTN, you get $50 off your device. Our second sponsor of today's show is the Wealth Studying podcast with John Pugliano. John Pugliano shares how he makes investment decisions on his podcast, the Wealth Studying podcast, which is pretty darn cool. He's a self-made millionaire, and he's one of us. He is also into self-reliance, homesteading, and all sorts of other things. If you have questions about ham radio, by the way, he's a great guy to ask those questions. Check out his podcast over at the wealthstudyingpodcast.com. And with that, I'm going to go into our first segment, which is Tales from the Prepper Pantry. This is where we talk about storing what you use and using what you store. And right before the purported ice storm came that everybody's freaking out about right now, I called the butcher who had my cow, and I'm like, if that thing isn't ready till after the ice comes, like, I can't pick it up. I'm not getting out of the holler. And so they made sure everything was frozen and ready for pickup on Saturday, which means I have all the meat in the freezer, which is great because I'm doing a carnivore challenge this month. And that means we're going to eat a lot more meat here probably. So that's cool. And then I wanted to, if you were following me on social over the break, I shared a picture of some breakfast sausage that I made from ground beef instead of ground pork, because we don't really have ground pork in the freezer. And what I do have a lot of is ground beef. And I thought, well, why can't I flavor that like breakfast sausage? So I took Grandpa Darby's recipe for breakfast sausage, and I do about 5 pounds at a time when I make it. And I tried it on the beef, and it just, like, the beef flavor is stronger than the pork flavor. So I ended up changing the amounts of spices, and then I added some spices I just like his recipe doesn't have garlic, mine does. His recipe doesn't have peppers, mine does. He was making a breakfast sausage for his restaurant, which had to have wider appeal. I like a little spice, and I'm not worried about my breast smelling like garlic after breakfast. So there you go. So here is the beef breakfast sausage recipe. 4 or 5 pounds of ground beef, 5 teaspoons of salt. So if you're just wanting to do 1 pound, you just like 1 teaspoon per pound of beef sort of thing. 7.5 teaspoons of sage. And this measurement is wildly different than the amount of sage in the Grandpa Darby's recipe. But also, I grow my own sage. I dry it at room temperature. I don't freeze dry it. And then I grind it in a Vitamix, and it's kind of fluffy. So next time I make the recipe, I'll actually weigh what that is so you know how many grams that is. But for me, it's 7.5 teaspoons of sage, 1.5 teaspoons of nutmeg, which I freshly grind from a nut, and then 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 2 teaspoons garlic powder. I use store-bought right now because I didn't have enough extra garlic to make my homemade garlic powder. If it was homemade, it would be at least like half or less than the store, because it's so much stronger when you make it yourself and don't have anti-caking agents in there. And then 1 teaspoon of peppers, like red pepper flakes or a smoked paprika. You can do hot, you can do not hot. That's your choice. That's something that I prefer, the spicy in my sausage, but that's, that's just me. So what you do is you just mix that all together really well. I like to like spread out the ground beef and then sprinkle it kind of evenly over it as best I can, and then mix it, put it in the fridge overnight, and then the next morning use it. But what really happens in my life is I make it, and I make 5 pounds, and I cook some of it for breakfast, and then the rest goes in the fridge for the rest of the day. And then I make the rest of the patties the next morning while I am cooking sausage patties. You, of course, can also stuff it into links or whatever. But that is the recipe I promised to share on today's episode. Other than that, we're actually burning through the prepper pantry stuff because my prepper pantry is still being rebuilt. And so it's all out under my carport, and that's not the best way to store stuff. So I'm storing less stuff until that thing is fixed, and then it can go back inside. Of course, that also means I have like stations of supplies in different places in my home, because like right now it's below freezing. So all the liquid stuff is inside, not outside. Anyway, welcome to everybody in the live stream. If you end up having questions today or comments, put the word question or comments in all caps, and I will star that and do my best to work it in. I am skipping most of our segments today because we're doing a little bit of an unusual show, and I think it's going to take a bunch of time with Andy. So I have one more segment because that's what we do here, right? And that is Operation Independence, where we talk about building local ongoing revenue into our lives, as well as changing our habits so that we avoid the need to pay a guy when we don't need to pay a guy. And this is like with the asterisk that sometimes it makes more sense to pay a guy, because if you spend a lot of time not paying a guy, you're also spending time not making money to pay the guy. So yeah. But when you pay the guy, you have to pay him 30% more than he gets because he has to pay taxes, which is why our system sucks. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, the world is changing. I really got to thinking about this over the Christmas break. I took 2 weeks off, and yes, I did things during those 2 weeks, but basically I just focused sort of inward and on more philosophical stuff and taking classes and learning things and, decluttering the house and stuff like that, so that I would have a better, stronger foundation in January as we go into 2025. And 2025 started with a bang, hasn't it? We're not going to talk about that today because I'm on Tuesday Coffee tomorrow with John Willis and Jack Spirko. So we'll get into some of those things tomorrow, I'm sure. But what really the recurring theme that came up as I was thinking about things and journaling and that sort of stuff as I go into using my new word of the year, it was that AI is really rapidly changing right now. Like I'm not kept up on AI. And so I started taking a deeper dive into just what all AI tools can do. And I've been watching some videos on YouTube that, like while I roast coffee, I'll listen to a video, right? And it got me to thinking that I want to use these tools more to see how they really work. Like today, I spent an hour working on a report that I need to write based on some data. So I put together all the data and the spreadsheets and all of that, and I need to write the report. And I thought, well, let's just see if I can prompt ChatGPT to do a draft of this report. And I did, and it like summarized the data wrong. But it spat out a report that was sizable in, after I went back and forth, it took me about an hour for a report that usually takes me 6 hours to write. And at where it is now is I can leave this podcast tonight. I can read through the report. It's going to take me another 45 minutes to an hour to actually craft it the way it needs to be crafted and get the appendices all in there. And that will then mean that I've spent 2 hours on the report that used to take me 6. So I'm putting this under Operation Independence because if you're not starting to pay attention to AI and how it impacts your time and your competitors' time, especially if you own your own business, it's time to put some time into it. And you can just start. Like my goal right now is to spend an hour twice a week learning more about AI, and then playing with it. And, like sometimes it's really disappointing, but until you use the tools, you don't know. And then when it's disappointing, is it disappointing because of how you used them, or are they just not there yet? A lot of times I'm finding you can do a lot more things with these tools than you thought. So I am going to start a playlist on YouTube of some of the videos I've found most helpful. There are 2 right now that are most helpful to me, just as I'm going down the AI path. But I bring it up to just remind you that the world is changing. And those changes are part of what we have been building the lives we want, that are more resilient and durable. But to be successful through the kind of change that's happening right now, which is, I would say, akin to the Industrial Revolution. I think it's a bigger change than when the internet came around. The people who are most successful through that have flexibility and resilience and are able to see the big picture and many different skills rather than specialized skills. So think about that as we go into 2025. With that, I'm not going to spend any more time freaking you out about AI, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot more this month. I'm going to bring on Andy McCann from CrossFit Garage. So I've totally just set the stage for us to all be worried about the robots coming. What do you think about that, Andy? You are muted right now. I'm going to unmute you. What do you think about that, Andy?
I'm still a robot. Can't you hear me? This is the robot. So, let me turn that off. Whoa. It didn't work.
No. Kill it.
it.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
We have Andy. He's throwing his phone out into the hallway.
Yes. So I was trying to be smart, and apparently it went on speaker. I can still hear it, so I'll have to fix that eventually.
Yeah.
So AI, I'm going to post right here for you in the chat something that I've been doing with AI. Guys, Nicole is correct. If you're not using this stuff, if you have your own business, if you're employed by somebody, if you like making money, you need to figure out how to use AI.
Yes. And I think there's a lot you can do with it. Andy, I think you need to go hang up your phone, though.
Okay, let me do that.
So there's, so Letty's in the comments here. She actually turned me on to something that Matthew Searsley posted in our group while I was taking the time off, about just using AI to do a bunch of other stuff. Maybe she'll throw the link in there, but it was somebody who had a course that I have not started at all. It's like a $10 a month subscription, not a big deal, but it was also, it was very enlightening that when I started talking to her about it, she's like, oh yeah, I'm doing a deep dive on that. And I'm launching a new podcast this year. So my goal with that podcast is to do as much of it via AI as possible to get to know the tools. And then what'll happen is my Tuesday show, which is tomorrow, is also going to be a standalone podcast called the Living Free Podcast. And I'm doing that to get more people involved, because a lot of people are hesitant to listen to my podcast if they're not from Tennessee.
Right? And so it allows you to 10x your time. So here's what I did. So my brother, Charles, he is a computer guru. This guy, he was building websites in 1981 when there wasn't even an internet. No, he wasn't. But you know what I mean? He's just in. He predicted, he's like, Andy, let's do this thing called online garage. We'll take people's old crap, market it, and then resell it, eBay. And he's like, let's do this picture book. It's like a phone book, so Facebook. I mean, you name it. He came up with it before it came out. We just never did it. So I took his advice and y'all's advice and Jack's advice, right? And said, hey, let me jump into this, especially from the fall workshop. And so there's a tool called 11 Labs. I trained it on my voice. I said, hey, if you can give us 30 minutes of you talking, I'm like, yeah, I have podcasts. I'd put it in there. And then I took an episode that I'd like to have a podcast about. It was a CrossFit thing. I literally just dropped it in and said, make one of the guys me and the other one, I don't know, Timmy, whatever. Holy crap. So I just posted it. It is all AI driven. I didn't do a damn thing except drop, and let it generate. Guys, listen to that. The only thing that you're going to find is, one, I never say stupid words like retarded or whatever. And two, I never stumble. I mean, I sound like a damn genius. And then I took it and I said, okay, this is really cool. My son's writing a lit RPG story. He's got about like an hour and a half written. I just took it and said, read this as if it's me. Holy crap. I cannot read out loud. I'm dyslexic and I have a hard time reading out loud. I am trying to fix that. But this thing made me look like a genius. It's fantastic. You can go and find those. It is nuts how easy it was. The other thing that I did, so I got this CrossFit thing. I have coaches or members that would like to become coaches. There's a CrossFit level 1, there's a CrossFit level 2, it's so forth. It's kind of hard and daunting to like want to go study for this stuff. So I took their manual and I just dropped it into Notebook LM and said, give me the 2-person podcasty thing you do. Holy crap. I mean, I send it to my people and they're like, hey, this is pretty good. How long did it take you? I'm like, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that report that it put out, it summarized the data for me and it summarized it completely wrong.
Oh, yeah. I heard you say that. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah. So then I was like, well, I was like, did you know you have the data wrong? For example, this number should be that number. And then it went back through and made the data right, except for I'm going to double check it to see if it's really right.
Yeah.
So it was like, so it does like randomly invent stuff like that. You cannot like this report. I have to go over with a fine tooth comb.
Right. So there's a trick.
That's why I'm saying it's 45 minutes to an hour on the other side. And that's me reading it and adding things I think are important and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. The trick is to prompt it. So you tell it, act like me or whoever, act like a professional in this industry, think deeply, double check your results, no hallucinations, or I can't say the word, but right. And you tell it to do things like that. And it'll take a little bit longer to process, but way faster than the 6 hours it would take me or you to like go through the thingamajigger.
Right.
So I actually did, here's a funny one. I did an expert counsel one where it was me talking and then I did AI. The whole damn thing was AI with my voice. It was much faster and better, but there's no tangent. There's no story. There's no life. It's just Hyper Andy talking.
Yeah.
But there's no like, Nicole, remember when you did, right? So it doesn't have any of that.
Which we want. That's why we listen to this, right?
Right. So there's a part where I'm like, I think it's good to like get the data and like I'm driving and I want to hear a thing. Great. Give me some complex data in a talking format. Like to have the CrossFit level 2 read to me, I think I'd go to sleep. But to have 2 people talk to it in a story format, I'm like, okay, that was interesting. And I probably remember what they said.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, and somebody, like I think it was Jack who said in one of his episodes, there's going to be this certification of this is done by a real person at some point. Rather than saying this is AI, it's going to be the other way. Like my coffee is roasted by a real person and not robots. So, or
it's delicious, by the way.
It is. I like it. In fact, I might have another cup after this, even though it's awful late in the day for it.
It's never too late for coffee. They just moved bedtime to the wrong time. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, I made a mocktail recipe with coffee, which is not carnivore friendly at all, but it's coffee and orange juice. And then you shake that so it's chilled, and then you add chilled what's that? Tonic water. And it's delicious. And so people who are doing dry January, it's a cocktail they can have that's, you know, when you're in that environment and feel the pressure.
Right.
But then I'm like, but who wants to drink coffee at, 10 o'clock at night at a party?
This
you
guy.
do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't. And I was like, oh, but you could do it decaf.
I mean, that's like a 4-letter word. That's like snow down in Georgia. Decaf? Come on.
I know. But
you can.
I was surprised how good that tasted.
Hey, so you brought up a topic, not to switch gears or anything, but it's not carnivore. Dude, technically anything you want to be a carnivore is carnivore, as long as you're on the path you want to walk, right? I think once you get below the statistical number of 100 carbs a day, and it could be more, it could be less for some of you, and you enter ketosis, you're on a good track. People make this stuff too hard, like, hey, dry January or no shave November, whatever, right? And it's just tough to like try to streak. Instead, take these easy steps to make this stuff work. I mean, like you said, 2 hours a day or 2 hours a week on AI. Dude, that's awesome. That's kind of like what I'm doing. You just play around and have a business. What can I do? Also, we asked the question, hey, Nicole, how are you using AI in your business? Or how are you making keto, carnivore, whatever, work in your day? I mean, ask a mentor. Most of this stuff isn't hard. Just go do it. But that's damn hard, isn't it?
It's damn hard. Well, it's hard for me to do the same thing every day. And you said you were going to talk a little bit about staying motivated.
Yeah.
So we've gone completely off script at this point because I threw the AI curveball in, guys. I brought Andy on to talk about making yourself more fit and making yourself more resilient and dealing with that beast that you have to overcome to do it, which is what I would call the bitch voice. I hope I can swear on his channel.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the bitch voice is when you're like, I'm going to get up and work out. And the bitch voice is like, nah, stay in bed. It's too cold out there. You got to conquer that demon to be able to do the same thing every day that needs to be done. And, you know, it's hard. You know, you told me you were surprised how many people have a hard time taking the first step. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So look, I'm a complete hypocrite on many things. I don't do what I do what I say instead. I am the type of guy, if you said, hey, Andy, you should probably stop eating sugar, I'm like, okay. And I do. And it took me forever to realize that most people weren't made that way. And so I'm going to tell you, don't do it the way I did it, which is, hey, I'm just going to not eat vegetables and grains and sugars, and because that's what I want to do. It's nearly impossible. Most people cannot make that happen. And that's been a mistake. Most of my life is trying to put people in my box, and you can't. So you want to take easy steps. Like Dave Ramsey has his debt snowball. I'm pretty sure we've talked about that. Yeah. And so the easy way is, or the way that works, that does not make sense to me, is you take the easiest thing to pay off, because the psychology of it is, I got to win. I can keep that win going. Where 80% of the people who do it that way finish. 20% of the people who do it the other way, the debt avalanche, take the worst one, finish. So what's the goal? To finish. The goal is not to do it logically. The goal is to finish. The purpose of the system is what the system does, right? So rack up the easy win. So I love the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. What does that mean? I mean, just pick some stuff like if you want carnivore or anything to go easy, I mean, really the easy thing is, it's just go out and do it. I mean, it's not that hard. Just go out and walk for your first time. Go out and swim for the first time, and then do it again. But people have a hard time stacking those up, and then stuff comes along, right? So the medium way is to log your stuff, let you see it, or have a friend that's sort of accountable with you. So Nicole and I are getting into carnivore together, or we're going to AI investigate together. So now we can keep each other accountable. That's good. Probably the best way, the easiest way, it's going to cost you a little bit, which is to hire a mentor. So when I wanted to get into Bitcoin, I hired Jesse and said, dude, I kind of know what I'm doing, but help me set this server up and help me get it going. And we did it. And this was back when you guys were talking about Bitcoin at like $20,000 a coin. So thank you, because I got in and started doing stuff with Jesse then. I wouldn't have done it on my own. And now it's super up and super thank you. So easy is hire a mentor. Hard is just do it yourself. Although that's kind of easy because you could just go do it, but you don't know where you're messing up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I have this Kangen water machine, and I also sell them, because when you set up your account, it's like, do you want to sell it too? I'm like, sure. I've sold one so far. And the reason is I'm not actually selling them. I've got a list of people who've told me they're interested, who haven't seen the things about the water to move them to the next step. And I finally had an epiphany over the break. I'm like, I like talking about the water. I like using water. I like learning about the water. But setting up the program that follows up and stewards people through, like the mechanics of that, I hate doing. And that's why I haven't done it. And so like there's one person here who's asked me multiple times for information on the water. And I finally was like, here's an attachment of how to like use it on a homestead. Like I have the stuff. It's so dumb. And so, I mean, and that's where I'm like, I need a mentor for that. But I also just need somebody who likes to do that. You know,
you could take your process, drop it into AI and say, make this easier to understand and so forth. So, I mean, this is a case where you could have a project that'll really get you to learn this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I know, so we have some chatter here where Skane's girl said when she first went keto, she was like, I don't know, 6 months tracking all her macros, only lost 20 pounds. We're going to start with Skane's girl is not very big.
Okay.
So yeah. I would say she didn't have that far to go anyway. And then she said it was exhausting, and she just, now when she has something she wants that's off plan, she doesn't stress about tracking the macros and doing all that. She just decides if she's going to have it or not. And it made it a lot easier. Right.
Right.
Well, what I found when I was, because this is where for you, it's a switch. I've decided to go lion diet, which is even more extreme. And I just do it. right? And I have my motivation and it's done. It's like, the rest of us normal people, I'm going to call us, it's hard because you're like, well, I miss top ramen, or I miss, like it'll be some stupid thing. It's broccoli. I really like broccoli, or whatever it is. And so tracking the macros, I think when you first go into something like that is actually pretty helpful for a couple of reasons. One, if you're going carnivore, there's a certain amount of fat you're supposed to get, and most people don't do that right. Most people get the protein, lean meats, don't get enough fat, feel terrible, don't lose any weight. Like all of that stuff happens. So if you have the macros tracked, you can see it. Same with keto. When I went keto, I tracked the macros. And what that taught me over a 2 to 3 week period of time, also a 2 to 3 week period of time where I was going to restaurants, was how to order differently at the restaurant,
right?
How to plan my meals differently here, and what not to add. And I learned it by adding the wrong thing, writing it down and going, oh man. Yeah. And then from there, I didn't feel like I needed to track my macros. So I don't.
Right.
I will, I probably will on the Carnivore Challenge because I think you're supposed to use an app and do that. But because I'm starting the Carnivore Challenge on January 18th, guys, which is this, I guess I can show them what this is. It costs
money. I just put it in your chat.
I've got the thing. It costs money. I decided to try it because I've been having trouble staying. I can be really motivated and hold on, let me find the stupid thing. I had it up.
I put it in your chat if you want. I can put it right here in chat too.
No, I just want to show them the site. So I'm really good at staying disciplined on 3 things at a time, which is why the My 3 Things method exists. And one of my things is right now is making sure I take my vitamins every day. One of my things is exercise every day. And my third thing is related to doing my actual job so I make money. That's it. That's all I've got. So I want to add carnivore to this, but that's thing number 4. And so for me, when I saw this challenge, I was like, I'm willing to pay a little bit of money for a mentor to build in accountability, which is what I'm doing, right? For the challenge, declare it publicly on the podcast. So now I have to do it. I can't fail. And then it's an 8-week carnivore challenge. So I was totally happy to spend the money on this, which I can't remember how much it is. So I'll have to hit.
Yeah. So it's like $99 for the standard process everyone's going to go through. If you're like, hey, I want more one-on-one help, you can do that. That's smart and simple. It's a company from a buddy of mine, Rick and Andrea. And their normal gig is we work with you one-on-one. They created this because of y'all's community. When I went to the Self-Reliance Festival, we went to the fall workshop with Jack. People were asking how. Let me be super, super clear. The how to eat carnivore is easy. Eat meat, done. Eat under 100 carbs, done. So you have carnivore, ketovore, and keto. These are the 3 areas they're going to teach you to do. If you're like, I just can never make it work, or you're like, the chat on the side that says I can't lose that weight or whatever it was, then you're probably doing something wrong. You're missing a thing. I'm still doing a thing that, like, I literally had one of the guys at my gym say, I'm going to go carnivore. I said, where are you going to lunch? He's, I'm going to go to, the grill and get a hamburger. I'm like, so no bun, right? And he's like, no, I'll have a bun. Just, I'm like, that right there is carbs, dog. And he's like, wait, that's a carb? So sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. So this is good to have them along. So they're going to run it with Zoom calls on Saturday. There's homework. There's other things you do. They're going to teach you more things. It's their full giddy up, but they're doing it in an online environment so that they can bring the cost way down and bring it to anybody out there. Now, here's the thing I'm going to say. If you click on that sign up, click on it one more time.
Oh, hold on. Oh, right here. Big green button.
The big green button. So the very, very top right there, the first line, I said, hey, who referred you? You guys want to put Nicole Sauce in there. They're going to give her some Christmas time.
I get a commission if you sign up, but guys, don't do that to give me a commission. I signed up for accountability and I want to see the quality of the program. And I'm diving in to the $99 one to see if that helps keep me accountable, because I do tend to, as I said, I track about 3 things at once. This is a 4th thing, and it's something I definitely want to change because I have inflammation in my body from what I think is an autoimmune system disorder that I have developed by living, I used to eat differently than I do now. I think it's of my own making. I think I was genetically predisposed, and I made it worse through nutrition. And I eat pretty healthy now. But I didn't always. We'll just put it that way. But I've always been interested in food. So that's the deal. But the thing I want to say here is if you look at this meal, if this was all cooked in on one plate, that's a carnivore meal. Ta-da. It looks like you've got scallops or chicken and different kinds of steaks and some pork chops over here. And that's a chicken over there. And you could probably add fish to that. I think one of the biggest things that people, when they start carnivore, it's hard for them. They make a steak and they're like, and now what? What's my side dish? Your side dish is 5 more steak or 5 shrimp, or, you can have different flavors. Right. You can have different kinds of meat at once, but you're basically going for the meat. And then there's debate about if you're allowed to include dairy or not.
Yeah.
So I'm including dairy in mine, but limited.
Yeah, same here. I do cheese and butter, but let me share you a story. So guys, first, if you're interested in carnivore, ketovore, any of that stuff, this is the way to start. It's super easy. I've worked with these guys before. I'll be in the program too, but let me share you a story of my son, Evan, and his journey with Crohn's. So he went to UGA, or he's still at UGA, and his second year, he came back home January. He was 175 pounds. He's 6 feet tall. I'm not 6 feet tall, nor 170 pounds. He comes home. I'm like, dude, something's wrong. You look really thin. He's like, yeah, I don't feel great. He dropped down to 118 pounds while here at my house. I literally thought my son is dying. What do I do? We hired a guy. I looked up on a podcast. I was like, hey, how do you reverse Crohn's? We went to the doctor. They said, yeah, you have Crohn's. Good luck. You're going to die. If you take this medicine, maybe you'll get a bag. Maybe we'll cut your colon out. And I mean, it was horrible. And he's like, Dad, I don't want to do this. How do I do it differently? He found the lion diet. This is what I'm going to talk to you about, autoimmune. So if I get off track, remind me, autoimmune. So he found the lion diet. He said, Dad, this is what I want to try. I was like, if you have a really good why, stuff is easy. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this with you. He's like, really? So the lion diet is basically ruminant meat. So like cow, sheep, any red meat that chews the cud, basically. Salt and water. That's it. I said, I'm going to do it with you. At about 3 months in, his autoimmune started to go away. Now, we did hire a company, Josh Detch, with My Healthy Gut Bio or something like that. He was the only guy I found that said, hey, I'm in the process of helping people reverse Crohn's. I'm like, dude, sign me up. It was expensive, $500 a month. But my son's alive at 118 pounds, lost, oh man, math, 50 something pounds in under like 6 months. I would have paid millions to keep him alive, right? I would have chopped off I would have given up my own life for my son. You guys know how it is if you have kids. You love him so much. Anyway, we're 6 months into this. My standard meal is super boring, but I'm totally okay with it. For breakfast, I eat eggs and ground beef. Mix them together. For lunch, I have a New York strip. For dinner, I have eggs and ground beef and about a spool's worth of goat's cheese and a lot of salt. That's it. And coffee, hollow roast coffee. That's all I eat for 6 months. I am not bored of it yet. Evan doesn't like it because he has to. I'm doing it because I want to go with my son. So we have a journey of two. 2 data points are better than one. He's like, Dad, this carnivore diet's making me crap like something that craps a lot. No, whatever. And I'm like, dude, me too. Let's look that up. And so we can compare notes. So that's the amount of fat you have. Here's the thing. So on that lion diet, if you want to fix some immune response, some autoimmune issues, look, I'm not a doctor. I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express. I'm just a dad with a son that I saw a thing. I witnessed it with my own eyes. The kid is adding more food in. He's gained weight. He's back up to 140 pounds. Between the lion diet and Josh Detch's group, man, I don't know what to say, except it's true. The food that we're trying to eat is killing us, and they want us to be sick. This is what I see. Do I have proof? Just my own life. Just my own life. So, Nicole, if you want to cure a thing, dude, you got to do it for a while. There is a period. He's like, we were 3 months in, and nothing was really changing. So basically, let me back up. Crohn's, for him, he would eat lettuce and then poop lettuce. And you would see it. And you're like, okay, don't eat that. Michaela Peterson said, do the lion diet. Your body can process it. He's like, sure, let's give it a shot. So he could process. So basically, he stopped going to the bathroom and he stopped vomiting. And he could process food. I don't know how or why it works. I don't.
Yeah, that's a Doc Berry question. It'd be great to have Ken on here actually right now.
Yeah. I don't know how the internet works, but I use it. I don't know how the Lion diet works. I use it. I use the carnivore diet now. We've added some things. So once you go out of Lion, it's like Lion is very, very strict carnivore, or what we're doing is very loose Lion. I don't know. But the whole idea is you're fueling your body different. You're learning to burn that fat. You're letting that fat that's held on to some nasty stuff. Like usually when you start this, and you start burning that old fat, you're like, yeah, that's the marijuana you did back in college. Yeah, we still got that. You know, whatever. It's held.
Yeah. All those choices you made. Mine's probably all related to cocktails.
Yeah.
Cocktails and chocolate.
I mean, get some high cacao. That's not so bad.
Yeah. I like my chocolate. Pharmaceuticals don't make money unless they keep you sick. Yeah, that's one of the problems, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's the weird thing, right? I am a guy where the world is wanting to help me. I live in a friendly world. I choose not to live in a hostile world. The world is not out to get me. I'm out to help, and I believe other people are too. Yet, as a capitalist, I've realized that the ultimate pinnacle of communism is death to all. The ultimate pinnacle of capitalism is we kind of capture markets and screw everybody. So you kind of got to be wise about this stuff. There is the purpose of the system, right?
Yeah. Well, so I was thinking about cancer with carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you can do with cancer is go carnivore, because cancer feeds on sugar. And so if you cut out all sugar, it helps with that, right? Or it can help. I'm not going to promise health results, right? So you're not feeding the cancer. And if you starve the cancer, perhaps your immune system will deal with what's left. Okay. That's one thing. That also would mean that it's harder for cancer to grow if it's not getting sugar. And carbs are sugar. Well, if you then go to the other diet that's recommended for cancer, which is plant-based, and look at it, it doesn't have grains. So if you go truly plant-based and no meat for cancer, and you're cutting out all the potatoey, grainy stuff, you are also starving cancer, in theory, if it's feeding on sugar. I just started like going down that road the other day because I was like, what? Because people will fight bitterly about, do you do the plant one or do you do the meat one? And it's like, do something, right? Do something, because we don't have a lot of data on how these things work, because it's not something that I think there's not a lot of motivation to do peer-reviewed studies on this, and that's fine. So what you do know is that what we do now with cancer, in some cases it does help, and in many cases does not. So when you have that kind of a diagnosis, you have to start kind of making your own decisions. And I watched our friend Jenny in the community have to face that when she was diagnosed with leukemia, where the treatment they originally did for her not only didn't work, but made her worse. And then she was like, okay, I'm going to try all of, these supplements and this, fungus and that, whatever, because at this point, what they're doing isn't working. I'm going to die if I don't do something. And her cancer is currently in remission. So,
that's the hard part about sugar. It's, and I know I'm going to make a stupid joke here, but it looks like cocaine. And what else? White substance is super addictive. And weirdly, so I haven't had sugar in 15 plus years. And it was just a decision to do. And it mostly came out of, what does every nutrition program agree with? Don't eat sugar. So I was like, let's do that. And my dad was suffering from a lot of cancer-y things. He just had his prostate removed and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, okay, I heard that sugar and cancer go hand in hand. So what can I do to eliminate that? Well, how about I just don't eat sugar? It's a weird journey. And for me, it was like, I'm done. But it seems that there is a lot of problems with this slightly addictive substance. I mean, what better way to kind of like get you into their stuff than to find that bliss point of salt and sugar and fat and whatever it is to just keep you eating their stuff. Just don't eat it. For a while, I did miss stuff. This is why I had to give up grain, because grain was my entry drug to sugar. I just couldn't do it without grain. And so, I had to give up pancakes. I wanted syrup. I wanted anyway. Not that I'm against grain. We make bread here at my house. My wife makes a mean sourdough bread, and Evan can eat that weirdly, but normal bread he can't. Sourdough bread is fermented, so he can eat it. I don't know. But man, for him, it's a choice of, I want to live. And so he's growing his food choices. For me, I'm like, dang, this is actually kind of interesting. My hair is turning black again. Look at all that gray hair. My shirts got tighter because I felt like I was getting bigger, not fatter. Now, I will tell you this. I was eating like 4,000 calories a day. You can out eat carnivore. I did. I caloried the crap out of it. And I went down. I went from 165 to 155 and then started climbing back up. I'm like, all right, I guess 2 steaks a day is not what I should do. So I had to taper it back.
There's a big debate about that. If you can out eat carnivore.
I'm living proof. You can. So you may think to yourself, okay, well, wait a minute. Now you're talking about a lot of steak and a lot of meat, and this is pretty damn expensive. There's ways around that. Plus, I bet you if I averaged up everything I eat, because I told you what I eat. Now, I'm also a prepper type guy. I have my own chickens. We make our own eggs. You know, of course, I guess our $1 per egg is pretty expensive when you think about what it costs to raise a chicken poorly. The hawks are just killing us.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So I don't eat anything else. There is no snacks. There is no soda. I go out and buy really expensive, stupid foods because I don't need it. If like tonight we're going to go watch a movie that the Homestead movie or something, and like, hey, let's go eat. I'm like, all right, I just need a pre-eat. So I'm eating at home all the time and then socially hanging out with people, and I'll probably drink some coffee. But it's not terrible, especially when you think to yourself, if it works, it's a big if. Evan did not take any of the medicines that the lady said to take. She's like, this biological, which is some sort of mRNA jab you give yourself every 6 months or every 3 months, is $200,000 a shot. Good thing insurance will cover it. Bad thing Andy doesn't have insurance, because when you're self-employed, that you don't get insurance. So I was like, that's going to suck, but let's do it. And he said, no, Dad. They said if it may work, 50% of the time you cut out my colon and I end up with a colostomy bag and I die 10 years early. Screw that, right? So you can do stuff to your insides with food, but it takes time. So Nicole, how long will it take you? Man, I don't know. It could be 1 month into it. It could be like Evan. It took him 4 months. He's like, Dad, I don't really see any progress. And then the 4th month, boom, he's like, I feel different. All of a sudden he could add a little bit of food, and then he added more and more and more. Now he eats relatively normal-ish, and he's not expelling from both ends unpredictably.
Yes, that's no fun. Well, on the like topic of staying motivated and reward systems, like many Americans, what reward would I get or give myself as a treat, do you think? What kind?
You mean like a food treat, or could it be any treat?
So when I rewarded myself, I learned that you reward yourself with food treats.
Okay.
Or when somebody dies in your family, you console yourself with food.
With food? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I really dove into this emotion eating thing. And because there are some habits I know I need to bust, one of which is the workout every day goal that I have, right? I realized I needed a different way to reward myself. So I'm going to show you how I've done it. This is a wine carafe, which we'll probably never have wine in it again. And you see how it has rocks in there? So when I work out, a rock goes in. And when I take my vitamins, a rock goes in. And when this is full, I get a reward.
There you go.
What the reward is?
Listening to more podcasts.
I have no idea what the reward is, to be honest. It might be I get to go take a trip for a weekend and stay in an Airbnb. It's going to be something, but it has to be a non-food reward. But I get to do something big when that's full.
The piano.
Or maybe I get to buy the piano. I don't even know if I really want the piano. I'm in this. I moved my keyboard to the living room, and then I'm seeing how much I play the keyboard. And if I continue playing the keyboard, then the piano becomes
zone
more
1,
of a,
zero, whatever.
Yeah, because it was in my bedroom and I just wasn't. So that's the deal. But
I like that goal. That's way better than.
And then for me, I hear the noise and I have a kinesthetic interaction with the stone. And so you're like twice a day. That's going in. If I work out twice in a day, I get to put 2 stones in that day. So
yeah, those are understanding yourself. So, man, I wish I would have learned this earlier on. I'm 51, and I'm really just understanding who I am. And stuff like that, when you understand how you're motivated, hey, there's a tactile cue. Hey, there's an auditory or the gift or whatever it is. When you understand your own motivation, it helps. I mean, hey, as a parent, easy one. My son's in jeopardy. I will literally do anything. I will Batman your ass. I will do anything. Yes, I'll go to jail if I had to save him. Yes. Lion diet, easy. That's an easy call, right? understand yourself. So you've mentioned a lot of times, especially like even with the My 3 Things coming up this Friday, journal stuff. Understand yourself.
You know what I did? I started a journal over the break. Just every time I had a random thought, my computer was sitting on my kitchen bar, I'd write a sentence or two. And I dumped that puppy all into ChatGPT. And I said, what are the themes you see? Make me an action plan for the next 2 weeks on this stuff. And it was all, because you walk around the house and ADHD Nicole's like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. I wrote all of it down. Just
That's
randomly.
awesome.
Yeah. So again, ChatGPT makes mistakes still. Like missed big things, but I was like, right now I have so much to do that it doesn't matter if it missed something because I'm doing something right now. But I think back to that reward thing is, if we're going to give people tangible steps to take ownership for your health, one is look at your reward system, because a lot of us, we reward ourselves for stuff. Is it that you get to read for 15 minutes? That's one of mine. I get to read fiction for 15 minutes, or I get to look at TikTok for 10 minutes. You got to put a timer on that if you go on TikTok, though, because it'll suck you in and you go down whoo, that can be really dangerous. Or I get to take a trip by putting a stone in the jar or whatever it is. How many times when you reward yourself this week, just do this week, guys. Every time you reward yourself for something, just write down what it is. How many of that is food or beverage? Because the food or beverage we generally reward ourselves with is usually not the healthiest stuff either. And if you can break, because you talk about taking small steps, start by breaking that. Start by changing your reward system.
That is huge. You going down the food trail can move you from one bad thing to another bad thing, because you can do food very badly. I was a wrestler growing up through high school. I did food badly. I know all the bad tricks. You don't want to do that. You want to have a healthy relationship. You have to eat. So keep that relationship good. Yes, I'm going to agree with that. And this is why I like the small steps. Like if you're thinking, hey, I'd like to do this carnivore, ketovore, this lifestyle, great. Jump into the challenge, do it for 8 weeks, and then let it fit into the rest of your life. Like I came up with, after going to your event and the other event, I came up with the, we talked about 75 hard a lot. So I came up with, well, screw that. I'm going to come up with 60 easy, because not many people can do what we're doing. And I'm just going to not eat sugar. It's just hard to do. If you have easy steps to walk you through the things you want to do, like ChatGPT, build me a 12-month plan of the things that I've been talking to you about. It doesn't care. It'll do it. That's what it does. It just does what you said. I mean, it may get a little bit wrong, but it's going to be pretty good. So anyway, I did this 60 easy that I've been posting out every once in a while for people to combat 75 hard. It's just, there's 5 things in your health and fitness, how you eat, sleep, move, think, connect, and the other one that I just forgot, eat, sleep, move, think, and connect. Well, I got them all. And then there's 12 months. So 12 times 5 is 60. And there's one thing you can do each month on each of those. Stack it, don't stack it. It doesn't matter. They're just easy things that I've been saying for 20 years for people to do, that you could make a really healthy you if you did all of it, or even if you just did one of it. Right. So it doesn't have to be tough. And the rewards that you put in there, man, it gives you 60 opportunities to give yourself cool little rewards, or 60 extra stones in the bucket.
Right. And
that's free.
Great. Yeah. The rocks actually cost me money. They were $1.25 at the $1.25 store. And Tactical saw a bag of rocks on my kitchen counter the day I got home with them. And he picked it up and he was like, what is this? I said, it's a bag of rocks. He goes, why? And I didn't feel like, I was tired. I was like, I didn't feel like it. I was like, I'm using it for a project that's very important to me. He's like, why didn't you just go get rocks from the road? And I was like, because those are pretty rocks, but they're not all that pretty, but they're not terrible.
I like those.
Because I could spend $1.25 to get it done, and I was there.
Right. Oh, dude. Yeah. Tell me about that. What are those? The not rhinestones. The if you go to a reservation, they always have those gemstones, they're like semi-valuable stones. I love those things.
Oh, semi-precious stones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The blue ones that they use on all the decoration. Lapis. If you're going to go. Yeah. I love that stuff. I will want to drop those. And actually, I just want to roll them around in my hand.
I want to touch them, and yeah. I'm starting with these rocks, and it's not enough to fill that. So I'll have other rocks over time, but it was, there was a certain amount of, I just need to get things done and not be paralyzed getting it perfect.
Right.
So, which is what my 3 things is a lot about. It's like you take a step every day and you'll go really far. But if you don't take a step because it's not the perfect step, then you'll go anywhere.
And that call is Friday.
Oh, it's the 9th, which I thought was Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Yeah.
6 p.m. NicoleSauce.com to sign up for it.
I've got all my kids. I said, be on this or no college money. They're like, okay.
Okay, Dad. Okay. Yeah. But really, how does any of this relate to freedom? Let's talk about that. How does fitness relate to freedom? Just to ask a really big philosophical question.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to go deep here. I just turned 51. I know, I'm sexy hot for 51, right? No. I usually tell everyone I'm 106 because my hair is so gray. And all of my peers, most all of my peers are in that 50 category. And I can see us getting to the time of retirement where you're supposed to have ultimate freedom of time. And I don't know if they can utilize that retirement, right? So if you really want to be free, you have to unshackle a lot of things. Yes, I love that I have chickens and I have some eggs. Yes, I hate gardening, but I mean, I'll throw some tomatoes out there. So I'm creating some sort of freedom. Yes, we have money built up and we've paid some debt off and things like that. So there are freedoms there, but there's 3 expectancies, 3 trajectories. You've got your health trajectory. What does that look like? You have your life expectancy and then you have your wealth expectancy. So if you're not tapping into all 3 of these, the end isn't as glorious as you think. You're going to end up like alone and destitute or malhealth, or man, I think it would ruin, losing your mind, right? So they're saying Alzheimer's potentially is like a type 3 diabetes.
Yeah.
And that's a sugary thing, right? So I'm just saying it's so weird that carnivore, lion, whatever, has such an effect. I think it's really, you're eliminating all the other crap, potentially. I don't know. But if any of it tethers you, you're not free. So like the opposite of freedom, you're tied to, and I can't get out of my chair. I just want people to be able to experience, so the reason I do this right now, I've been doing CrossFit, health and fitness for 20 something years. It hit me that I want to be healthy and fit enough to coach my kids in soccer. What does that look like? I mean, I have to be pretty mobile. Actually, so one of the hardest things for me is most people say, Andy, you're kind of a dick. I'm like, I don't mean to be. I'm just an engineer. It doesn't come out right. I didn't know emotions were real. So I'm trying to fix that, because if your kids don't like you, they won't let you coach their grandkid or their kids, right? So I got to be fit, but I also have to be nice. I have to be liked. I have to have some wisdom. So there's these things. If you have that picture of what you want to be, it's not as hard to do these things. But so a good friend of ours, Sean Mills, he said, he sent me, I'm going to embellish here. He sent me an email. It's like, hey, I move a lot, but I find myself, my flexibility is going away. And he said other stuff. But as we get older, our tendons want to shorten up because the human body is super adaptable. You just said it. People can live on vegan. People can live on carnivore. Your body will adjust. Yeah, one may lead you to death, maybe. Vegan. But your body will adjust. So if you're only walking and slightly moving, your body is going to adapt to that modality and shrink everything up. So if you're not squatting to depth, learning to get up and down off the floor, getting out of a chair. I mean, if you can't get out of a chair, weirdly, they're going to raise the toilet up because you can't make it. And that's just depressing.
It's funny because the thing that really, I'm always interested in health, but the thing that made me prioritize my health wasn't just 75 hard. That helped when I did it. But then my dad sent me this book called Outlive by Peter Attia. And I read the book. And I read the whole book. Like, I finished the whole book. A lot of times a book like that, I get 3/4 of the way through and the author is repeating what they said and they were going to tell me. And I'm like, okay, you told me. I'm good. And I don't finish the book. But I finished the book and I'm really glad I did, because the last chapter is completely different than the rest of the book.
Right.
And I'm not going to spoil it, so you guys read the book. But after reading that book, I was like, no, for real. I can't just mess around. Like, for real, if I want to be healthy, I have to do these things. And that really helped me. Everybody else's trigger is different, though. Like, what triggers have you seen work for people besides, like your night and day switch?
Yeah, I think probably the best type of triggers is that thing that really motivates you, that drives you down. If you can really think about what do I want to be in the future, or what does this hinge on? I think it's an easier sell to your own self on what it's going to mean to you, right? It's like my three things, or you do the key word. Like, you need to know yourself, and if you don't, it just makes it hard to stick to those things. Like, like I had a buddy say, he's like, hey, how do I lose this paunch up front? And I said, well, that right there is going to be what you eat. Yeah, exercise is good, but it's what you eat. And he's like, well, I'm not giving up my chips. I said, well, then you're not giving up your gut.
Oh.
I mean, right? I mean, maybe it's not the chips, but you see what I'm saying is, I want to get rid of my gut, Andy, but I'm not willing to do what it might take to get there. I'm like, well, then you need to find the motivation. What is it?
Yeah. I also spelled outlive wrong in the chat because somebody asked me for that, but and I said outlie. That's not, we're not talking about lying here.
Yeah, I mean, lying's good. So I think the other thing is a hack is the community. So you've got this beautiful community. And so this is what I tell people. 1, shout it out. 2, bring a friend. 3, post it to the world. 4, hire a mentor. 5, go to a place that's already doing it. So this is like, for example, again, it's because of you guys in this environment, and I just can't not put a solution together if I can. Andy, I've got a home gym I just don't ever use. What could I do? I'm like, great, let me come up with things. So we developed garagefitness.online, and it's free right now because we just made it. It's a work in progress. But one of my buddies who's been doing CrossFit forever, went to the games, all that, he does the programming. I've got a couple of guys working on the back end to build this thing up. But basically, it's bringing people together in a community of programming. So we're suffering under the same thing. So we can talk and laugh and whatever about that. Hey, I've got gear at my home. Here's the thing that really messes people up. You are unique. You've done a great job with this. I bought a pool, or a swim pool. Or swim spa, and I use the swim spa. Most people are going to buy the treadmill and then never touch the treadmill. I know tons of people who left my gym, put in a home gym because, man, over time it's cheaper, no doubt. They never use it because it's so convenient. They're like, oh, I could just do it anytime. And when do you do it? Well,
never.
That's right. I'm not saying this 100% of the time, but I bet you if they had a community that drove them to their own home gym, they would probably use it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we did that. It's free. You guys can use it. It's us in there doing things. I really think it's the community that really, in the end, well, and it's in connection. Like if you look at the long-lived people of the 5 things that push you in that Blue Ocean book or whatever, Blue Zone book, connection was the highest thing. Like when you look at the longest lived, best grouping of people, they had all that and sack lunch, but they also had connection. They had deep, meaningful connection with people that resonate with them. Find that connection, find the group, find your people, and go along with them. Bring them with you.
Yeah. Well, and it is hard to make myself use the home gym. Like that is something so I've been wanting to be fit for 20 years. I've had treadmills. I've had recumbent bikes. I've had bikes. I've had all sorts of different equipment here, and then sold it, and then joined a CrossFit gym, and then they went out of business, and then I bought my rower from them, and then I didn't use it for a year, and then I started using the rower, and it was the rower that got me into the habit of like, how do I get so I use some of this equipment. But if you're going to use your home gym, it turns into a task actually for me.
Right.
Going to the gym to work out's an appointment. That's different than a task.
Right.
Home gym, because there's other people there, right? The home gym is a task. And so then that's a decision that I just had to make. And I think that is hard because it's very easy to turn the treadmill into a clothes hanger.
Right. Well, and it's like you said earlier, learn yourself, journal it, figure out who you are, learn the rewards that work for you. I literally own the gym. Every piece of equipment that doesn't quite work right anymore, I bring home. I have a basement full of stuff that works for one person. I mean, I wouldn't put a class on it, but I could do everything in my basement. I don't work out by myself. I know this. The only time I work out is, well, I'll go jog every once in a while because time is pressing, but I go to the gym, I work out. like today, I've got a bit of a bicep issue. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm too old and foolish to go get it checked out, but I still went in. And the thing was, hey, use your bicep in a way that Andy can't do. I'm like, that's fine, whatever. I'll just adapt. And the coach is there. This is why I love these gyms. The coach is like, Andy, how can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I'm an idiot. Let me tell you. And so you have the people who expect you to be there. I want to be with them. I literally will go in and just bike if I'm not feeling it. But
Yeah.
You're right. It's not a task. It's I want to do it. And when I go, since I own the place, I also clean the toilet. So I'm like, I got to clean the toilets. But I'm kind of excited to because I get to see my people. So you may not be like that, but I know me. And while I am a massive introvert, I would love to do nothing else than to sit on this computer and play some video games or whatever, or listen to podcasts. I need this too. And I need real people to care and to high five and to hug, not sweaty hug. That's gross, but whatever. Right. And so understanding yourself, finding the people, finding a community like this, who then says together, hey, let's do the Carnivore Challenge. We'll be in the same groups together. We're going to move along together. Hey, let's do 60 Easy together. Hey, let's do swim spas together. Hey, let's, whatever, all these options. I had a guy, man, I feel like such an idiot sometimes with my own business. You ever feel like you have a business and then somebody else says literally, actually, you do have a story. Buy the beans, right? Somebody else tells you the thing and you're like, really? I should have just done that.
Yeah. Like, why didn't I think of that one?
Yes.
Willis does that to me from time to time. He's like, why don't you blah, blah, blah? I'm like, oh, that's the best answer in the world.
I've had this gym business for 20 years. In the last 6 months, I've had members come up to me and say, hey, Andy, you ever thought about it? I'm like, oh my gosh, I never have thought about that. I never did. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Or they say a thing and it changes my whole perspective. I'm like, wow, I've been looking at this like an idiot. Let me look at it from your eyes. Anyway, one of them said, hey, why don't you take the workouts you do and then put a home version? So if I can't make it to the gym, I could do it at home. I'm like, oh man, our programming, we get it from CrossFit. So it's CrossFit affiliate programming. It comes in, I do some massaging, but it already gives us the home option. I just delete it. So I was like, oh geez, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that for you. Yeah. I just don't delete it. But it's stuff like that. Hey guys, the answers can sometimes be right in front of you. You just have to, as Nicole said, take the third step. You have to keep moving.
Yeah. The first step is hard. You were saying you were surprised how hard it is for people to take the first step, because the first step, and I think of our friend Karita Lee, who she came to a self-reliance festival. And I was actually reading a post she put up today. At that time, she couldn't, I think, stand for more than 4 minutes without having to sit down.
Oh, wow.
She would not go out to eat with her friends because she couldn't climb the stairs to the restaurant. And she had just gotten very big. And she started, she came to the SRF and she had to go around in one of those drivey chair things, whatever those are. And got winded when she had to stand up and go to the bathroom and come back. And she got inspired, went home and was like, I'm going to try to walk to the mailbox. And she walked to her mailbox and back. And she had to rest along the way.
Whatever.
And she's lost, I think, 180 pounds now. It's years. She works out every single day. She gets up early, works out. And not only is she, her body is better, her mind is better. She's just happier. And it's because she took that first step. And that first step didn't look like what her steps look like now, And but what I find is you take the first step and you do 8 steps. And then the 9th step, you're like, I'm tired of doing this. And so you have to find the thing that'll push you through I'm tired of doing this every day.
Yeah. And for me, it's
swimming. As much as I love it, I'll get in the pool and I'll be like, the water is cold and la, 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 la. And now I got to keep swimming. And, I'm always happy when I swim laps. And,
and so you're doing a thing that I feel like is it increases the community and it increases the, I can't think of the word, but you will video hey, let's watch me live stream the swim.
Yeah.
That's accountability. It increases the accountability because now some people are expecting it and they're like, why didn't you swim? You're like, oh, dang, you noticed because you didn't stream it or something. Right.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned this mindset. So a fascinating piece that it came to me in this journey of owning a gym, I always ask people, hey, it's been a year, it's been 2 years, it's been 5 years, it's been 10 years. Tell me something about the journey. or tell me about why you keep coming back. It blows my mind that so many people say, I come to the gym and it's not because it gives me healthy and fit. It's not because it makes me better, look better naked. It's not because they say it's a place to reset my brain. You care about me. You guys pour into me. I don't have to pour into anybody. You take care of me. I can listen. I can do. It's a mind reset. I'm like, that's fascinating because we don't program any of that. We don't teach our coaches that. But that's what it is. It gives a person an opportunity to let it go.
My favorite CrossFit moment, I was here before class, and then class started and the coach came over and he goes, Nicole is closed.
Nicole is closed. I love that.
And I was like,
yes.
Oh, Nicole needs to be closed. You're right. So now I say that to people when people are like, hey, can I blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, Nicole is closed.
Yes.
Because it taught me, I mean, that was a boundary, right? And you can try to work out and be on your phone, but it's not very good.
No.
But it taught me, you know what? It's actually okay for me to set that boundary other places too, like after hours.
Right.
Or, like people will text me after hours and they won't get the answer till the next day. And sometimes what they don't know is I did answer it that night, but I programmed it for the next morning because it was 10 o'clock at night when I saw it. And if I answer at 10, then they expect me to answer at 10.
Right. No, I think that is a sad thing that it's a trade-off. We have AI. I love it. But I'm accessible via my phone that I threw out in the hallway. So I'm accessible via my phone all the time. So in this business, your playtime, so a customer's playtime, like, hey, I'm done with work, I'm going to text the gym or whatever. I'm like, I'm done with work too. Can we both be done with work? It can't. So I have to be on a lot. And I cheat. I have type aheads in my phone. So when someone says, Andy, tell me about the gym, I'll do star gym. And it goes, and it gives a dump of like answers that I typically say so I can be fast. But yeah, it's hard to turn it off. And the days of like dialing into, the modem via the payphone or whatever, all that's gone. We have laptops. It goes around with us. So you guys have to find peace somewhere. I would also maybe this has nothing to do with anything we were supposed to talk about, but if there isn't a time when you walk away from your phone for like an hour and you don't feel like at peace, if you feel distressed by being away from your phone for an hour, I mean, you have a problem. You have a boyfriend or girlfriend that you need to have.
The topic here, I did say carnivore in the topic, and we haven't, like we've talked about carnivore, we've talked about a lot of other things. All of these things go back to why you fail at carnivore.
Yeah.
If you don't ever get peace from this and it's an anxiety addiction problem, it's going to keep you from doing carnivore because you're going to be in this. You're not going to plan. You're going to end up cooking something easy, which isn't carnivore. You can make carnivore easy. Like I could do a whole series on how to make your life easy on carnivore. One of the things I talked about in this episode is when I make homemade breakfast sausage, I make a lot of it. And while I'm cooking the sausage, I'm making more sausage and freezing it so that it's like, it doesn't take me any more time. I was going to be in the kitchen anyway.
Right.
I don't want to walk away and burn the sausage. So I'll make, 25 other sausages while I'm there. And then I don't have to make those.
So yeah, and you know what? I should probably tell you a little bit more of how I do this. So it's been 6 months. I've come up with some hacks. The air fryer is badass. So get an air fryer. And so so it's deer season. I've asked all my deer buddies, my hunting
I know
buddies.
what you mean.
Yeah, my deer buddies. That sounds weird. It's like, hey, if you have old meat that you want to get rid of and you're like, well, I don't know if I want to shoot another deer because I have old meat. I said, give it to me. Evan and I need to eat it. We will eat it. And sometimes it's freezer burned. I just make it for the dogs. Sometimes it's like, weird. I'm like, it smells funny. The dogs will eat it. But most of the time I can eat it. So I have got a whole lot of meat that people didn't want because it's old and they want to go hunting again. So it gives them a good excuse to do it. It's in my freezer. What I do is I cook, just like you said, I will pre-brown up like 8 pounds of ground beef. And then I put it in 1 cup measurement bags. I throw it in the freezer and freeze them. Every day I pull out 2 or every night. And then that day I'm eating 2 of them. And so it works. I get a cup of ground beef and it's super cake because it's already ready already. And then I take the eggs. Either I sunny side up them. Oh, damn, that's hard. Crack it, right? Or I put them in the Vitamix, dude. If you don't have a Vitamix, bless yourself with love. Go get a Vitamix. That thing, you could drop your phone into and it'll blend it up and you could drink it. It'd be great. The Ninja has nothing on the Vitamix. A Vitamix, I don't sell them. I just love them. And if I could, I do. I have 3. because when one breaks, which it hasn't, and I've been able to give one to the kids as they go to college. But anyway, take a Vitamix, throw your eggs in there, and it blends them up, and then just pour it in there. Now you got scrambled eggs and ground beef. That's it. And I throw it in the air fryer. I have it set. There's a 13-minute cycle, and the steak comes out, and it's glorious. And I pour my salt on it, and
I use the sous vide.
Yeah.
So for me, rather than 13 minutes in the air fryer, I use the sous vide to set it at 132 degrees at 4 p.m. So like in an hour, I'm going to start cooking. I'll actually probably start. We're having chicken tonight, so I'll probably put that in the oven sooner. But put it on, and we may not eat till 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on how the farm chores go. But because the sous vide has it cooked perfectly and just holds it there,
right.
When it's time to eat, I just go done.
Yeah.
The steaks are one of the easiest things to eat, I think, on Carnivore. I have a story about Ninja versus the Vitamix. I had a Ninja that a friend gave me, and she's like, she was so happy when she saw it walk out of the house. I'm tired of being cut by that thing, and I didn't understand. And then I had it, and I like the blades which come out. Like I was cutting my hands on those, trying not to touch the blades, and they're super sharp. And you just be like, "Oh, I got myself again." And so I actually went to the Vitamix because it will grind flour, which is not carnivore at all. But I do have some wheat stored here that's whole wheat, like wheat berries.
Yep.
Because sometimes, like once or twice a year, I bake bread or I do something with wheat, and then I want fresh ground wheat, which is healthier. And I didn't want to keep a whole nother kitchen appliance for once or twice a year.
Yeah.
I can, in a Vitamix, I can take a cup of flour of those, hit go, and it turns it into flour.
My wife is the ultimate in finding the things that people won't think of that'll become your awesome. And she found, so when she bought the Vitamix, she's like, okay, Andy, I bought a $500 blender or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. And I was just like, yeah, I was like, I'm going to throw up. And we had that same blender for like 10 years and we used it like 6 times a day. So, I mean, we totally got our money's worth out of that thing. So she's into so many cool things. She's into these like patch things now that everybody's wearing. So it's making me less of an asshole. And, I mean, you name it. She comes up with some interesting things. Now, I've only done the 2 things, Carnivore and CrossFit. And AI. So I've done 3 things. My 3 things.
You've done your 3 things. You've got them.
I don't know. My 3 things is connection. Actually, that's my biggest thing right now is how to connect better. So on connection, I did put in here, if you go to CrossFitGarage.com, all of my stuff is on there. If you ever need me, my email address is on there. My phone number is on there. It's actually my phone number. You can call me. I probably won't pick up, but you can text me and I'll definitely answer you. I don't keep my phone on me all the time. So people get pissed about that. Like, why don't you pick up? I'm like, I'm phone free. I'm not a screenager, you know, but I'm happy to help you guys. I think you said one of the biggest things you could ever do for yourself is log your food for 2 weeks. Do that. If you do that, I will help you for free. But most people just won't log their food for 2 weeks. But if you do, let me know. I'll help you out. I'll pick out the big things. I'm not going to have like a 9-hour diatribe on what you do, but I'll look at it and say, hey, that bowl of ice cream you eat every night, that's pretty dumb. You probably shouldn't do that. Like, but you'll probably pick that out when you do it. When things that get tracked and measured get attention. Yeah.
What are the things that you think, like the 2 or 3 things people struggle with the most when they transition to carnivore that you've seen?
Food addiction and then food boredom. So you're going to say to yourself, I really need that sweet thing. I really need that crunchy crunch, right? You need to like punch it in the mouth with some other taste or something or your purpose. And then food boredom. Evan got bored really quick. I didn't get bored. One, I think I'm just made differently, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. But also I'm doing it with a point for him. He's doing it for himself. I'm doing it for him. I think it's more powerful when you do a thing for someone else. Anyway, so the addiction of whatever it was you were eating, and that I also mean the habit and the ritual. I love the habit of warmness. I don't know if it has to be coffee, but if it's hollow roast, it's just the warm, like teas or whatever. I love that feeling. So I have an addiction to a habit. Now that's okay in carnivore, not lion diet. It's supposed to be water, but whatever. And then if I'm only eating certain things like ruminant meat, experiment with the meat. Lamb tastes way different than cow and deer. So experiment those flavors. I think the other bit that's so weird for people is your tongue is so sugar spiked, you forget what other things taste like. It's potentially unfortunate for me. I love the taste of salt. This is a water bottle I keep refilling, and I made my own salt, my own electrolyte, and I love it. I'm probably addicted to salt. I think that's okay. They haven't found anything wrong with it. Okay, let me say this too. I've done all my blood work. So far, I'm one healthy individual. They found Chuck Norris in my blood cells. I mean, this has gone great for me so far. Am I a doctor? No. Did I go see one? Yes. He said I was okay. So we're trusting him. Man, sorry, I just went too far. But yeah.
No, that's okay. So, and then Pixie Ducks says cramping, because I know a lot of people go on carnivore and they have cramping, and that's what that electrolyte's for, right?
Yeah, so let me give you that one too. So yeah, that's something that is talked about, but I think we just go, oh, well, I won't cramp. My calves went boom, and my feet do that thing where if they bend, they want to just keep going and lock down. Yeah, and it still happens. So I got to watch out. I think there's like a 3 or 4 month period where your body starts to go, oh, you want me to help you with electrolytes. You're not just going to eat all that stuff. And so, now they say there's no problem eating as much salt as you want. Go to the Dead Sea and drink it. You're fine. So I make my own. It's LMNT. I just follow their recipe. I still buy their stuff. It's just super convenient. But if I'm at home, I thought, I'll give it a shot. LMNT is like $1 per bag. This is like 3 cents to fill this guy up. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Whatever. Yes. So you will have experienced some cramping. Also, fascinating that I have worked with people and just given, like, I feel weird and like tight and you're like, when you go home, put extra salt, like real salt on your food and let me know how it goes. And they're like, I feel great. I'm like, some people are literally just deficient in salt, but salt, potassium, magnesium, and, all the other food groups, vitamin G, vitamin, give a crap, right? Are good for you. You need to watch out for the cramp. So if you feel cramping, up your salt, magnesium, and potassium intake for sure.
Yep. Okay, got a question from Haas here. Any protein or healthy drink recommendations?
Okay, when you say healthy drink, water, or do you mean like, am I mixing something together like a shake? Give me a thing on that.
I don't know. He said protein, so I feel like it's a protein drink.
Okay, so I'm a fan of solving one problem at a time. Which problem are we solving? Are we solving? I'd like to fix an autoimmune issue, so I'm eating lion. There is no drinks. Don't do it. If you're pre-diabetic, there are no drinks because they're loaded with crap, right? Here's what I would say. I know you're going to think this is disgusting. The best protein drink you can have comes out of a cloaca. Go get a chicken, drop out an egg, crack it, and drink it.
Yeah.
It's gross, but...
Or cook it.
I mean, yeah, you can cook. I was just giving him a drink. Protein. Here's a weird one on the protein. They say, or she, Michaela Peterson and all the lion people, they say ruminant meat. I don't know exactly why. I mean, you could go biblical with it. I don't know. It's choose a cud, whatever. But Evan reacted differently to chicken than he did to any of the bison, cow. I couldn't think of cow, beef, deer, anything, lamb, whatever. But chicken was no good. We don't eat pork as a family. I just hate pork. I hate seafish. I hate seafood. We don't eat fish. So that was never a choice for him. I just despise it. But weirdly, that ruminant meat seems to have a whole lot less trouble processing. And now let me tell you this too. When we would eat meat, if I ate 10 pounds of meat, I didn't. But let's say I ate 10 pounds of meat, I only went to the bathroom like 1 pound. So 9 pounds of meat got processed in my body. What? That's insane. So your body loves that stuff.
You weighed your poop?
No, but you could visually inspect it and be like, that's nowhere. I ate so much food. Yeah. Okay. I did joke with Evan. He's like, Dad, don't be creepy. I'm like, I'm just saying, I'm really, as an engineer, I really want to know, but I don't want to know. So we would go to those Brazilian.
I had to ask that question because everybody listening was wondering.
Yeah. Oh, hey, ask it. Yeah. So we go to a Brazilian steakhouse and we'll stay for 2 hours and slow plow everything. And you're like, I must have eaten 10 pounds. But anyway, that your body processes it. I think for the Crohn's thing, very little of it went through his large intestines. And so it gave it a chance to heal, I guess. I don't really know the answers to it. I just know the internet works. My car works. The lion diet works. Why exactly? I don't know.
So you know that, don't know why. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions, and we're over an hour. Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh.
It happened again, Andy.
I'm AKA Mr. Hyper. I said it right there.
Yeah. What do you want to leave people with today? We'll go
That
there.
I don't measure my stool.
Okay. What else?
So, hey guys, I am big into giving stuff away. I hear the plea from the community. Some of this is hard, and I want to start and do a thing. So I put in here, and I gave Nicole some stuff if she can put it in the show notes. But you have this 60 easy. You can try it. You can stack it. You can not stack it. You could do more of them. You could do less of them. It doesn't matter. It just gives you an easy thing that's in my brain that is able to come out that you may not think of. So try it. 60 easy. It's free. We've got garagefitness.online. It's free for a while until we get it fixed up. So probably in the year of 2025, there's no cost. If you have a home gym, use it. We've got, the 2 weeks, log your food. I'll help you for free. There's so many free things I'll give you. If you want a mentor, get onto the Carnivore Challenge. If you want to move faster, get into that Carnivore Challenge. This is your community. Oh, it counted me down.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, if you're listening, show up to this stuff. Come see what Nicole is doing. This stuff is awesome. Be part of the community. Don't just be a bystander.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for being on the show, Andy. I think it's a good way to start 2025 is thinking about our health, because I kind of feel like it's easiest to deal with your health in the winter too. I don't know why.
I'm with you.
It's snowing and you got to go run up the hill and back. Except for it's no longer snowing here now, but
yeah,
we didn't get accumulation. Anyway, I appreciate you coming on and talking about carnivore, AI, all of the other things, just making a better life. Guys, if you are going to join the Carnivore Challenge, what's that website again?
I will paste it in there for you.
Yeah.
Find it right here. Copy.
It's in the show notes, guys. I'm starting on the 18th with that. I'm already I'm not 100% carnivore right now. I'm still letting myself have vegetables between now and then, but then I'll flow into that and see what it does. I just think it's time for me to see if I get through that. Nourishwithnature.com. Isn't that it? No, that isn't it.
I posted it just a second ago. It'll show up in a minute.
Oh, yeah, I don't see it. Anyway, it's in the show notes, guys. I don't want to delay this. If you like the show and want to support the work I'm doing, you can do it in two ways. One, get your coffee where? HollerRoast.com. Two, consider becoming a member. Head over to livingfreeintennessee.com to find out more. Our member webinar this month will be on the 19th of January with Sean Mills, all about solar. So you're going to love that one. Anyway, with that, guys, go out, make it a great week.